Saluton, parolas Tomaso.
Kaj mi estas Logano.
Kaj bonvenon al Lernu kun Logano. Before we go into Lesson 8, there's a few items I'd like to review. So one thing that we're talking about the prepositions. How do you say in front of?
Antau.
Yeah, and what's the opposite of in front of?
Malantau.
And how's that in English?
What do you mean?
How do you say malantau in English?
Behind.
Yeah. Okay. So over the years I've gotten a lot of lessons from people who they're translating "he smoked behind the tree," and they look it up in the vocabulary and they find which word?
Postage.
Yeah. So what does that mean?
But.
Yeah. So the right answer is "li fumis malantau la arbo." So we're going to talk about different ways to say "with." One of the exercises in a previous lesson was he wrote with a pen. How do you say that?
Li scribis per plumo.
Yes, li scribis per plumo. If you're saying the instrument that you're doing something with, the word is per, because kun always means together with. So you've got kun iras.
Learn together with Logano.
Yes, lernu kun Logano. There we go. That's actually a very good example. Thank you. And then there's per. Vi lernas per tiu curso. You're learning with this course. So at dinner the other night, we were talking about this lesson coming up, and we got talking about some words that you probably already know. One of them is Esperanto, and if you've seen my email address, you know it's salivanto. What do those words mean?
Esperanto is a language, or it's the hoper, and Salivanto is the drooler.
The drooler. Okay, so Esperanto means one who hopes, and Salivanto means one who drools. And there are lots of words that are like that in Esperanto, and they're called participles. Lesson 8 is about participles, and then it goes sort of from participles into what we call complex verb forms. I'm going to leave it up to people at home whether you want to read that part of the lesson. I'd be happy if you just watched the video and sort of looked at the way we're presenting it here. What I have found is that after students go through this lesson, their exercises for 9 and 10 are quite wrong with concerning sentences they did before. So how do you say "I am running"?
Mi curas.
Yes, mi curas. And how do you say "I am dancing"?
Mi danzas.
Yes, mi danzas. Right, so in English we use 3 words to say it. In Esperanto it's just 2. And that's always good advice. So what I always tell people is never use a complex verb form when a simple one will do. And as a follow-up to that, a simple one will almost always do. So at dinner, Logan, we talked about participles, different kinds of participles, and we talked about the ones that end in O, and those, by convention, refer to a person. So one who hopes, one who dances, danzanto. But what if it ends with a different letter? What other kind of letters can participles end?
E and A.
E and A, yeah. So what's an example of a participle that ends in A? We talked about a tree. That was one we talked about. So we could say la arbo falis, which means the tree fell. And now that the tree has fallen, we can call it a falinta arbo. And that falinta is another kind of participle that's a little bit like a verb, a little bit like an adjective. So falinta, notice that it ends in int. Falinta means that the falling has already happened and is complete. And the A means it's an adjective, so it can be used to describe the tree. So.
Could you say vi falintas?
No, you did say vi falis.
Okay.
Right, but you can also, so just like adjectives can go directly before a noun, la verda arbo, you could say the tree is green.
Yeah.
How do you say that?
La arbo estas verda.
La arbo estas verda. So I could say the fallen tree, or I could say the tree is a fallen one. La arbo estas falinta. And if there's more than one tree, la arboi estas
Falintai.
falintai. Right, so you got to watch those endings even when you're using the participles. Logan, one of the things that you and I talked about in while you're doing your last lesson, and I don't know if we've talked about it in the video, so I wanted to bring that out here as well. We talk about past, present, and future. The as, the is, and os. One of the things about present tense is it can sometimes refer to things that are happening now, like ni parolas, right? Or it can happen to things that you're not actually doing right now, but you do all the time. So,
Like I forget my pen.
yes. Yeah, I forget my pen. So that was one of those things. Is that past or present or future?
Present.
It's present. Mi forgesas mian plumon. It doesn't mean necessarily you forgot it right now, but it means as a repeating action, you forget it. What reminded me of that was the part 1 of the exercises for lesson 8 have to do with looking at English sentences and trying to understand what they mean. So I've got them here on our screen, and Logan and I are going to talk about them. The instructions will tell you to email me these. Since we talked about them, just check your work against what we're talking about here. So they want you to look at these sentences and think about whether the action happened yesterday, now, or tomorrow. That is in the past, in the present, or is happening now. And whether it is completed action, ongoing action, or has not happened yet. So he is reading.
It's happening now.
It's happening now. And the action, is it finished?
No.
Okay. He was reading.
He did it and he's finished.
Actually, so this is what they're going for here. He was reading. That means it happened. We're talking about the past. So yesterday he was reading. And while he was reading yesterday, the reading was not completed. So that would be yesterday, not yet. Or yesterday ongoing. Because he started reading. He will have eaten. Is it yesterday?
It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay. And then tomorrow is the eating.
Not yet.
He will have eaten. To me it sounds like by tomorrow his eating will be done. So that's tomorrow completed. He will tomorrow be completed eating. He is about to go.
It's tomorrow and it's completed.
Well, he is, that means now.
Mm-hmm.
He is now about to go, so he's not yet gone.
How do I always get these wrong?
So that's why we're doing them together. And like I said, this is sort of meant to be a warm-up for the next section. Quite honestly, if you skip the next section, that'd be fine. I'll put some extra exercises in the alternate exercises in the description. There we go. So he has eaten. He was about to write.
We didn't do he has eaten.
Oh, he has eaten.
It's yesterday and it's completed.
All right, so
Yeah.
it is completed.
Yeah.
But we're talking about today. He has, and see, this is from a translation point of view, it's good to learn. So he has eaten means what we're talking about right now. He has, and eaten, that means that the eating is completed. He was about to write.
It's
Yesterday, today, or tomorrow.
tomorrow.
He was about to write.
Today.
Well, when was he about to write?
Now.
No, yesterday he was about to write. Yesterday he was about to write. So yesterday, and then about
How?
means not yet.
How?
Well, if I say he is about to write, that means it's happening now. Or if I say he's going to be about to write, that means tomorrow. He was about to write means yesterday. He had eaten.
It's yesterday
Yeah.
and it's completed.
Exactly. He will be about to go.
It's tomorrow and it's...
And tomorrow, will he be completed going? Will he be currently
it'll
going,
be
or will he?
completed.
Well, eventually he'll be completed, but
Yeah.
but tomorrow he'll be about to go. So that means he hasn't actually gone yet. All right, so there we go. Again, just check your work against that. If you have any questions, please do let me know. Once again, I'm going to encourage you not to actually do Lesson 8 as it's written. I will have the link down in the description, and if you send me the lesson, I will be glad to correct it, but I think we can cover the important stuff a lot more simply. I'll start with this phrase, which is actually in the lesson. She manjas sian matan manjon. This word here in the middle, sian, that means hers, and we'll cover that in a future lesson. But for now, I just wanted to point out that this is really the best way to say it. If you want to say she's eating her breakfast, she manjas. She manjas sian matan manjon. No need to make it any more complicated than that. Let's see, the next point that they have for us, I can review the different endings that you need to pick up in this lesson, and that's inta, anta, and onta. As Logan and I talked about, this A doesn't necessarily have to be an A. This one here, anta could be anto, and that means a person, like Esperanto is one who hopes, or salivanto is a drooler, one who drools. They can be past, present, and future. So the I in inta is related to the I in is. The a in anta is related to the a in as. And the o in onta is related to the o in os. I say related to because there's a slight difference. Inta means that it's completed. Not necessarily that it happened in the past, but the action is complete. Anta means it's not complete, it's still happening. Onta means that it hasn't quite started yet. And you can break that down into real fine detail. For the purpose of the course, think about inta as complete and onta as not started, and anta ongoing action somewhere in the middle. Ne veku dormantan hundon. Hundo, as you may know, is a dog. Dormi means to sleep. Veku might be a new word. It means to wake up. So this sentence means don't wake a sleeping dog. Ne veku dormantan hundon. So dormanta is an adjective describing the dog, and it comes from the verb dormi. We have that ant that we saw on the last page, and that means that the dog is currently sleeping. It's an ongoing action that is not completed. The dog is still asleep, and we don't want you to wake him up. Also notice that it's a regular adjective, and the N here matches the N here. Dormantan hundon. We'll see that in some of the other examples. Here's one. It's jen velkintai floroi. Velki is a new word for you. It means wilt. And so the flowers, they're done wilting. Here are some wilted flowers, is what this means. Jen velkintai floroi. Now, just like, once again, we see that the J here agrees with the J on floroi. La velkintai floroi, because there's more than one. And just like you can say, la floroi estas belai, jen belai floroi, you can do the same thing here. La floroi estas velkintai. And it's always important that on both sides of estas, we have the same J's on both sides. La floroi estas velkintai. Velkintai. So the one thing I will mention that you'll see people use this as like they'll call it a verb form, and so we'll think about it this way: the flowers are wilted, or you could say the flowers have wilted. It means more or less the same thing in English. There's a slight difference, and that's where I sort of that's where I think the course material for Lesson 8 is a little more confusing than it needs to be. If you think of these as adjectives, you won't go wrong. And if somebody uses a sentence like this, la floroi estas velkintai, you'll understand what it means. Whether you want to think of it as the flowers have wilted or the flowers are wilted, that's, to me, more of a question about English than about Esperanto. We'd also mentioned that these participles can be used as all parts of speech, including adverbs. So finally, I have an example here of adverbs. En ironta. So this is the word en, which you've seen before. It means in. Iri, it means to go. And then we have the ont that we talked about in this lesson. It's new for this lesson. En iranta la hotelon. You know that means a hotel. And here's another word I want to break down. Junulino. It is a yun, that means young. Ul, that means person. Ino, it means female. So it's a female person who is young, a young woman. Subite, that's suddenly. I think that's also a new word. Haltis. Halti means to stop moving. So, en eronte la hotelon, ia junulino subite haltis. So this en eronte is an adverb, and in English we would do that as an entire sort of subclause. En eronte la hotelon. That means about to go into the hotel. Right? She was en eronta la hotelon. About to go in. La junulino subite haltis. So being about ready to go into the hotel, she suddenly stopped. So anyway, take a look in the description for some alternate exercises that I'll have ready for you. And yeah, so back to the other video. Okay, so once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for learning along with us. Special shout out to the people who are sending in your lessons. We're enjoying seeing you progress with us, and keep that up. And it's also a special warm thank you to Timoteo and the other patrons who are supporting us on Patreon. That's really a big help and a big encouragement to us, and allows us to keep on producing this series, and hopefully more like it to come. So until next time, Gis la Ravido.